Finally, Daniel Rock 08 back again on our video. 2006 year in review continues with Big Time. I'm on my way and I'm making it so much larger than life. I got to make it show. Yeah, Big Time WrestleMania 22 live from Chicago, Illinois in the Allstate Arena. It's the last time WrestleMania be taking place in an arena because from next year on out, they will be in stadiums and stadiums forever and ever, probably. Let's kick it off. We start off with Big Show and Kane defeating Chris Masters and Carlito to retain their their Raw Tag Team Championships. This is a decent match. Nothing much to say about it. It's kind of depressing because I'm 23 years old and Chris Masters is 22 years old and he is in his very first WrestleMania match at that age. That makes me very sad. What am I doing with my life, for God's sakes? 5 out of 10. They were pushing Masters and Carlito really, really hard. Really hard. Like they were in the chamber match. They had this match. I'm actually surprised they didn't win the tag titles. Big Show finally breaks his losing streak. And Kane gets the Duke and gets the pin and retains for the Big Show and Kane. 5. Not much to talk about. But here's something to talk about. Rob Van Dam defeats Matt Hardy, Bobby Lashley, Finlay, Ric Flair, and Shelton Benjamin in a 6-man Money in the Bank ladder match. The second ever Money in the Bank ladder match. Not nearly as good as the first one, but there is still some really cool things going on in here. Ric Flair takes 2 really scary bumps off of the ladder. The first was a superplex. He took a superplex. 57-year-old man, fucking crazy Ric Flair, took a superplex off of a 15-foot ladder. That's insanity. 57-year-old men do not wrestle, let alone take superplexes off of fucking ladders. He also took another back bump on the ladder and was taken out. This was all about Rob Van Dam, though. The crowd was all about the whole fucking show. And it was time. It was finally time for Rob Van Dam to get the big one, to finally get what he's earned for so long. And after being one of the most popular stars, he finally gets a big-time match. He finally wins a big-time match here and becomes Mr. Money in the Bank. He is Mr. Monday night. He is Mr. Tuesday night, Mr. Thursday, Mr. Friday, Mr. Sunday night. And now he is Mr. Money in the Bank, Rob Van Dam. He wins the Money in the Bank briefcase in a pretty damn good ladder match. An 8 out of 10. Although you really look at all the Money in the Bank ladder matches, there's been so many goddamn multi-man ladder matches that watching one even at this caliber, you're kind of spoiled. We kind of take our ladder matches for granted. We've seen every top high spot that there was and is to do. And so when you look at this, yes, a lot of the spots are kind of tame when you have a superplex off of the ladder. But it's Ric Flair taking a 57-year-old man taking 2 back bumps off of a ladder. That's pretty fucking incredible. Rob Van Dam, the whole effing show, wins 8 out of 10. Next up, JBL defeats Chris Benoit to capture the United States Championship in a whatever match. 5 out of 10. At least the United States Championship was defended at WrestleMania, which is more than I could say for the Intercontinental Championship, which from WrestleMania 18 through 25 did not have a single damn title defense. But at least the United States Championship did so. 5 out of 10 as JBL reverses the crippler crossface into a roll-up using the ropes to his advantage and captures the United States Championship. 5 out of 10, but this really should have been the blow-off between Booker T and Chris Benoit, but I digest. This WrestleMania is all about one match. One match sticks out, and it's the most memorable match, and that is Edge versus Mick Foley in the hardcore match. Edge was the WWE champion. He was WWE champion at the Royal Rumble. He has shocked the world. The live sex celebrations and having a great ladder match with Ric Flair, of all people. He loses the title after 3 weeks to John Cena. And then he has a rematch with John Cena a few weeks before WrestleMania with Mick Foley as the special referee. But Edge does not beat John Cena, and Edge blames Mick Foley. This, honestly, you have Edge, who should have been in the world title match. You have Mick Foley, who is back once again because he's the man who never retires. He's just like his idol, Terry Funk. He never fucking retires. This would, I don't fucking know how many matches since his official retirement was back in No Way Out 2000. I think like his 5th or 6th match. So Edge needed an opponent because otherwise he was going to sit out this WrestleMania just like he sat out for WrestleMania 19 and 20. Mick Foley, he never had that WrestleMania moment. He was always a joke. He was always getting his ass whipped. He never had that WrestleMania moment. What's his WrestleMania moment? Getting his ass kicked in a dumpster match and just winning the tag titles in a dumpster match? Is it getting his ass whipped by Triple H at 16? Is it being a referee at 17? So on and so forth. This match is a WrestleMania caliber match. Edge, once again, is the show stealer. He is the show stealer. And Edge and Mick Foley have one-of-a-kind hardcore match. Of all the matches Mick Foley has came back after his official retirement, I would say this right here topples his match with Randy Orton from Backlash 2004. This is the best Mick Foley post-retirement match, and it's one of Edge's finest. A 9 on 10. They did the whole Edge does the spear, but Mick Foley wrapped himself in barbed wire. Edge has a huge gash on his right arm. I guess they watched Bret Hart getting speared by Goldberg and took Bret Hart's idea with the gold plate, with the silver plate. He whips the shit out of Edge. You have the thumbtack spots, but it's all about the end, where Lita lights up a table, sets it on fire, and then you get that moment. That WrestleMania moment when time seems to stop in time. And Edge spears Mick Foley through the ropes, off of the apron, through the flaming table, and the table just disintegrates in flames. And their hair is cinched in flames. And it's incredible. Time stops, and everything could have gone wrong, but everything went right. Edge should have gotten his world title match at WrestleMania. This should have been Edge's big WrestleMania match. But it's funny, sometimes the biggest WrestleMania matches is one that you didn't expect you would have. And this is it right here. A 9 out of 10, the best match by far on this show, and one of the finer matches you're going to find at WrestleMania. Edge had Mick Foley. He needed an opponent. Mick Foley needed his WrestleMania moment. He never got. They were just made for each other. And even though he didn't get the championship match he so rightfully should have had, instead, he gets one of the most memorable matches in his entire career. We follow that up with the Boogeyman defeating Booker T and Sharmell in one of the worst matches of all time in WrestleMania history. I give it a 1 because I'm being incredibly generous because I liked the Boogeyman. Booker T should have been the blow-off between Benoit and Booker T for the United States Championship, as I said before. Give SmackDown another big-time match. This is really just Raw. WrestleMania Raw show, as SmackDown's matches are not very good. And this is easily one of the worst matches in WrestleMania history. A 1, but I'm being very generous. Mickie James defeats Trish Stratus to capture the Women's Championship in, at the time, the best Women's Championship match ever. Honestly, this topples Trish versus Lita from the last Raw in the main event in 2004. This was the finest match two women had put on, especially at WrestleMania. Before, I would say it was WrestleMania 19. Now, it wouldn't be until WrestleMania 32 where the women's championship match would finally beat this match and blew this match out of the water. But this is still a fine match. Mickie James' psychotic character was so intriguing. The way she wanted to be with Trish, the way she idolized Trish, the way that she was mesmerized by Trish, and the way that Trish was just so uncomfortable with Mickie James. This match was exquisite. This was beautiful. This was a beautiful match. This is how a great women's championship match can be done. And they never topple this match. No women's match topples this match, especially at WrestleMania, like this. Mickie James does some very wicked cool spots, of course, back and forth. But when Trish goes for her Stratusfaction, Mickie James grabs her by the pussy, just like Donald Trump did at this time period, where he said he grabbed him by the pussy. Mickie James dug into her own Donald Trump and grabbed her by the pussy, licked her fingers, which unfortunately is cut from WrestleMania on the network, and then was going to give her the Stratusfaction DDT. Unfortunately, she botched it, which is also cut from the network, but she follows it up with the Mick kick, kicks her right off her head, off of her shoulders, and gets the victory. Now, when you're watching this match, that part is cut out and the Stratusfaction DDT is cut out. But they cut it out so marvelously. Like, you couldn't even tell. And you completely forget about that botch. You couldn't even tell that there was a botch that took place. This match was beautiful, though. A 7 out of 10. A 7. I was thinking about maybe an 8. I wish this match went longer. This, to me, was one of the finest women's championship match there ever was. 10 years later, in Dallas at WrestleMania 32, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks will blow this match out of the water. But until then, this is the best women's championship match, or best women's match, period, at WrestleMania until then. Mickie James gets the victory, gets the women's championship, and the psycho bitch reigns supreme. Superb match, 7 on 10. Next up, Undertaker defeats Mark Henry in a casket match in one of the most forgettable Undertaker streak matches at WrestleMania. 5 out of 10. It was a little bit better than I remembered it, but not a whole lot. He played up to Mark Henry's strength, I guess. An impressive last ride. He does do the Undertaker dive. The Undertaker does do the dive out to the outside, clears the ropes, clears the casket onto Mark Henry, which is impressive considering that he has to go over the top rope. This is a 6'11" man, 300 plus pounds at 40 years old, jumping over the top rope, over a casket, and landing on a 400-pound man. He gets him back in, hits the tombstone, rolls him in the casket, and that's the end of this match. Undertaker is 14-0 at this point at WrestleMania 22, and it's just, As far as WrestleMania matches goes for The Undertaker, this is one of his worst ones. I give it a 5 out of 10. Shawn Michaels defeats Mr. McMahon in a no-holds-barred match. This was voted for some reason in PWI's Match of the Year for 2006. I have no idea how the fuck this won PWI's Match of the Year in 2006 when you had Kurt Angle versus The Undertaker, Edge versus Mick Foley versus Ric Flair, and so many other good matches from 2006. But this won that Match of the Year for that magazine for some reason. So, Mr. McMahon and the McMahons, they all get down, they all do this prayer, and it's hilarious. This is Mr. McMahon at his most devilish. Mr. McMahon at his most pompous, I should say. He has his Muscle and Fitness magazine cover, and he's posing like he does there. Shawn Michaels, all about God. This is all about God, and you can tell where this is going to lead when we get to Backlash. Jim Ross's commentary on here is fucking incredible. Incredible. So, this is basically Shawn Michaels beating the shit out of Mr. McMahon. Mr. McMahon, man, when it comes to Vince McMahon matches, he knew how to get his ass kicked in a way to make his opponent look incredibly fucking great. And Vince McMahon makes Shawn Michaels look like the second coming of fucking Jesus. Shawn beats the shit out of Vince. Now, a couple of times, Vince does get an upper hand because of outside interference from the Spirit Squad, from Shane McMahon, but Shawn Michaels overcomes all those obstacles. And the finest moment is Shawn Michaels. He takes Shane McMahon and he shoves it up Vince McMahon's ass. And Jim Ross with the call of the night. Shawn Michaels with Shane McMahon. He just shoved Shane's head up his father's ass crack. Fucking great. The call of the night. He just shoved Shane's head up his daddy's crack. Oh, I love it. So he gets a ladder. He says, that ladder's not big enough. He pulls out an even bigger ladder, which I guess the Money in the Bank contenders forgot to bring that big ladder. So he gets on top of the big ladder. He does the DX chop. More on that later. That's all foreshadowing something. The DX chop does the big elbow drop, smashing him through a table. Then he picks him back up. He says, I'm going to kick your teeth down your throat. And he super kicks him right in the fucking face as he charges up. He charges up a Sweet Chin Music, fucking incredible, and one of my favorite super kicks. Gets the victory. And shades of WrestleMania 19 as Vince McMahon is on the stretcher being stretched away. There is Vince McMahon. He's unconscious, but he still has movement in his right hand and enough to give Shawn Michaels the middle finger. Shades of WrestleMania 19 to which he did to Hulk Hogan. So there is Vince being stretched away with the middle finger right in Shawn Michaels' face. And Shawn has a big laugh about it. And 6.5 out of 10. It was entertaining. Shawn Michaels beats the shit out of Vince. Not more to say. Is it Match of the Year for 2006? Hell no. Kurt Angle versus Undertaker should have been. But whatever the fuck. 6.5 out of 10. Fine enough. Next up, we have the Cinderella story of a lifetime. Rey Mysterio defeats Kurt Angle and Randy Orton in a to capture the World Heavyweight Championship. This match was only 9 minutes long. Honestly, when you look at these three guys could have put on a match that could have matched the X Division Championship match from Unbreakable 2005. I'm dead serious. You have Rey Mysterio, Kurt Angle, Randy Orton. They could have easily have tried to topple that match. Unfortunately, they're not given a whole lot of time, which kind of pissed me off at the time. I think if you would have cut out the Boogeyman match, maybe cut out the Playboy Bunny match that I'm talking about later on, and honestly, the Tag Team Championship match, really. This match was a fine match, but it was 9 minutes long. Rey Mysterio defeats Kurt Angle and Randy Orton, getting the 619 on Randy Orton with the victory. There's some impressive stuff in here. Triangle with a double German suplex on them both. There's some neat spots. They make the use out of the 9 minutes they were given. And if you want a great match that's under 10 minutes, I guess this is it for you. 6.5 out of 10. Would have been much better if it was 15 minutes long. Rey Mysterio comes out wearing this Aztec Warriors getup, and he's the first of 3 many weird costumes. Actually, when he comes out, he gets almost no reaction. I guess the Chicago crowd really didn't give a fuck about Rey Mysterio, and maybe they were already sick of this Cinderella Eddie Guerrero storyline going on. But Rey Mysterio wins the championship and can't really complain anymore. 6.5. Next up, Tori Wilson defeats Candice Michelle in a Playboy Bunny pillow fight match. It's Tori Wilson, it's Candice Michelle, it's Icon-D. They're both half naked. It's fucking Tori Wilson. You know what? I love this match. I don't give a fuck. Tori Wilson, anytime you see Tori Wilson wrestle, I am fine with it. And you know what? I say this. I say this. You can call me misogynistic all you want. I miss bra and panties matches. I don't think they're nearly as sexist as people like to say that they were. When you had Tori Wilson, you had Candice Michelle, you had Stacy Keibler, you had all those women, they could do a bra and panties match. They could do a Playboy Bunny match, and they can make it look good. I mean, it's fucking Tori Wilson. It's Tori Wilson, for God's sakes. Not going to really rate too much because it's really something to settle the crowd down from Rey Mysterio and get the crowd pumped for the main event. John Cena defeats Triple H to retain his WWE Championship in a barn burner of a main event. I think I like Triple H versus Batista from the year before a little bit better, but this match is still really fine. Both men have big time fucking entrances. Triple H comes out like he's Conan the Barbarian, for fuck's sakes. Coming out with King of Kings. That's cool as shit. And then out comes this big 1930s car and people with Tommy guns. One of them is CM Punk, by the way. CM Puke, as I should say. And then John Cena comes out and is gangster like he's fucking Al Capone with a top hat and a fucking pinstripe tuxedo and a Tommy gun. He looks fucking ridiculous as shit. So, I'm going to ask you this. Who had the most ridiculous costume? John Cena in his 1930s gangster outfit, Triple H as Conan the Barbarian, or Rey Mysterio as an Aztec warrior? What was the most ridiculous of the three? Anyways, entrances aside, this is a fine match. John Cena retains, even though the crowd in Chicago made it very clear they didn't care for John Cena. And this is one of the earliest times that you're going to find where the crowd starts to turn on John Cena. They are all for Triple H on this particular night. They wanted Triple H badly to win back his WWE Championship. It just wasn't meant to be. John Cena retains, and he continues his second championship title reign. I give it a 7.5. Overall, WrestleMania 22 is like a highlight reel. The good moments were good. The bad moments were bad. You had some great matches. You had some mediocre matches. The Money in the Bank match was great. The hardcore match was phenomenal. The women's title match was really good. No Holds Barred was fine. World title match was fine. The main event was great. Some bad stuff. You had a mediocre tag title match, mediocre U.S. title match, a mediocre Undertaker match, and Boogeyman Booker T is one of the worst matches in WrestleMania history. Overall, WrestleMania 22, Big Time, gets a mediocre 6 out of 10. I'd catch you next time when I talk about TNA Lockdown, and then Backlash, when it's Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon taking on Shawn Michaels and God. Goodbye.